Welcome to Civil Services Achievers Point. We are discussing today the Assam Tribune of 22nd September 2020. At Civil Services Achievers Point, we have various courses. You can call at the number given below and join the courses. You can also follow us on the social media platforms. These are the answers to the MCQs of our 21 September 2020. You can pause the video here and check the answers. These are the MCQs of 22nd September 2020. You can pause the video here and you can attempt these questions and kindly comment in the comment section the answers to these MCQs. These are the important newspaper articles of today's Assam Tribune and the important editorials. So students, let us begin with the news articles. The first important newspaper article of today's Assam Tribune is the India and China hold military talks on the border standoff. So as we have already covered in our earlier class that India and China are engaged in a border standoff, and this topic we are studying under the General Studies 2 paper topic International Relations. So senior army commanders of India and China held talks on implementing a 5-point agreement reached between the two countries on disengagement of troops and de-escalation of the tense situation in Eastern Ladakh. So, as we have already covered, a 5-point agreement was reached between India and China on the disengaging the troops and de-escalating the tension in the Eastern Ladakh sector. The Indian delegation is headed by Lieutenant General Harinder Singh, the commander of the Leh-based 14th Corps of the Indian Army, and from Chinese delegation, Major General Liu Lin, the commander of the South Xinjiang military region, was there. Also, this is important point that the Indian team also included a joint secretary level officer from the Ministry of External Affairs and Lieutenant General P.J.K. Menon. This point is important that it is for the first time that a senior official from the MEA was part of the high-level military talks aimed at diffusing the volatile situation in the mountainous region. So the government sources said the agenda for the Monday talks was to chart a specific timeline for implementation of the agreement reached between the two countries at a meeting between External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on the sidelines of a Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet in Moscow on September 10. So the government sources has said that the agenda for the talks was to chart a specific timeline for implementation of the 5-point agreement which was reached between the two countries at a external affairs minister level at the sidelines of a Shanghai Cooperation Organization meet earlier this month. Now coming to the next important topic, Mandis and MSP will stay, the Prime Minister has reiterated, and farmers will now have freedom to sell their produce at a place and price of their choice. So the farmers will be able to sell their produce at a place and a price of their choice. This topic we are studying under the General Studies 3 paper, topic Economic Development. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asserted that the farm sector reform bills which passed by the parliament are the need of 21st century India, and again reassured the farmers that the government purchase of their produce coupled with the minimum support price mechanism will continue, mounting a strong defense of these measures. Further, he said that farmers will now have the freedom to sell their produce at a place and a price of their choice. And he has further said that certain people who exploited farmers for long as they remained in cycles of rules regulating the sale of their produce, and stated that this needed to change, which his government has done. So the Prime Minister has said that these reforms were much needed, and the government has done to bring in these reforms so as to improve the condition of the farmers. Noting that his government had brought the farm ordinances which these legislations will replace, he said farmers are already getting a better price for their produce in several states. And he has also termed that these legislations are historic in nature. Now coming to the next important topic, India saved rupees 5,000 crore by filling strategic reserves. It is mentioned by the Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. So this topic we are studying under the General Studies 3 paper, topic economic development. So India has saved over rupees 5,000 crore when the country in April, May used 2-decade low international oil prices to fill up its 3 strategic underground crude oil storages. So India has developed 3 strategic crude oil underground storages, and India has saved over rupees 5,000 crore when it used the 2-decade low international oil prices to fill up these reserves. So India is the world's 3rd biggest oil importer, has built strategic storages. So India has built strategic storages in underground rock caverns at 3 places to meet any emergency. So taking advantage of the low crude oil prices in the international market, Indian government purchased 16.71 million barrel of crude in April, May 2020 and filled all the 3 strategic petroleum reserves created at Visakhapatnam, Mangalore and Padur. So these places are very important because an MCQ based question may be expected in the upcoming prelims exam. So students, please make a note of it. While the 5.33 million ton of emergency storage, enough to meet India's oil needs for 9.5 days, was built in underground rock caverns in Mangalore and Padur in Karnataka and Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh by the government. State-owned oil farms were in April asked to buy crude oil when global rates fell to a decade low. So when the crude oil price went very low, then the government decided to buy the oil and store it in the reserve systems. Also, these were filled by buying oil from Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Iraq. The Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited (ISPRL) built the underground storages at Mangalore and Padur in Andhra Pradesh and Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, and as insurance against supply and price disruption. So if there is any supply cutoff of oil reserves or there is a price disruption, India can avail the oil from these strategic locations. So now coming to the next important topic, our State Industries and Commerce Minister Chandra Mohan Patwari calls for tapping export potential of Assam, and this is regarding the horticultural and food processing items. This we will study under the General Studies on Assam paper, topic economic development. Industries and Commerce Minister Chandra Mohan Patwari has called upon horticulture exporters of the state to take opportunity of the tremendous scope for export of fresh fruits, vegetables and spices. So the minister has called upon horticulture exporters of the state to take the opportunity of the tremendous scope for export of fresh fruits, vegetables and spices. The minister held a detailed discussion on the prospects of infrastructure, logistics and policy for export of horticultural and food processing items. So the minister has said that Assam produces a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables and spices which have tremendous scope for exports. In the recent past, export of these food products have been taking place to countries like UAE, UK, Canada, and Hong Kong. And the minister also assured the participant exporters and agro entrepreneurs that the state government is committed to create an enabling environment and ecosystem for promotion of exports from Assam. And in order to augment the export potential of the horticultural items, AIDC has set up a perishable air cargo terminal at the LGBI airport, that is the Lokaprio Gopinath Bordoloi International Airport. Further, the minister said that the air cargo complex at Guwahati Airport has facilities for handling perishable items like fresh fruits and food processing goods. As the exporters from the Northeast are first generation entrepreneurs in this sector, so what is the first generation entrepreneurs? The first generation entrepreneurs are the entrepreneurs which have started their entrepreneurial activity from that generation itself. So they require support, hand holding and guidance. The minister asks the department officials to utilize the union government's Krishi Udan scheme, Operation Greens and state government's incentives under agri export policy and export and logistics policy to support these exporters and entrepreneurs. So these are the schemes for supporting the agri exporters and entrepreneurs. Students, you can remember these initiatives of both the central government and the state government. Now coming to the next important newspaper article, India turns net steel exporter to China for first time in years as per a report. So General Studies on Assam paper, topic economic development. So even as various restrictions are being looked at by government agencies to curb Chinese imports, the neighboring country has provided big export support to Indian steel industry, saving it the bluntness or the blushes of weak domestic demand and consequent fall in production. So as per a CRISIL research report, India has turned into a next exporter of steel to China for the first time in several years, with 69% of semi-finished steel and 28% of finished steel heading there between April and August. So it was exports that saw large primary steel makers through the peak lockdown months, with 60 to 80% of their total production between April and August finding its way to various destinations, with China leading the pack. So India saw that the steel makers through the peak lockdown months and with maximum of the steel sent to China. Consequently, crude steel production fell a lower 27% on year despite a massive 38% fall in domestic demand. The fall in production was far less severe for export-oriented primarily manufacturers compared with secondary steel makers, as per the CRISIL report, research report. Now coming to the important editorials of today's newspaper, the first newspaper editorial we are discussing is the pros and cons of the national education policy. So this topic we are studying under the General Studies 2 paper, topic governance. On July 29, 2020, the Government of India unveiled a new education policy, NEP, the first of its kind in 34 years. So this policy has invited uh, both positives and negatives. So we will discuss both aspects as mentioned by the author in this editorial. So first we will discuss the applauses it received. Professor Rajendra Gupta, one of the authors of the policy, thinks the policy brings positive changes. Gupta argues that by moving away from a marks oriented examination based assessment to a skills and competence-based assessment, the cultural practices and objectives of education will change. So, Professor Gupta has said that from a marks-oriented, examination-based assessment to a skills and competence-based assessment system, the objective of education will change. He argues that in this new system, students will acquire a vocation in middle school, which would ensure that the education system brings relevance to what is being taught to students in terms of skill enhancement and capacity building for various sectors. Teachers will have the freedom to define the way they teach with a discovery-based approach and experience-based learning and blended learning tools being brought in via the policy. All of this will help ensure that education is made more participative and that knowledge transfer occurs rather than the current tradition of shifting through pages and memorizing content. So it challenges the limitation of the existing education system and brings in more reforms. The NEP also argues or includes the provision for a national research foundation which is aimed at increasing the level of research done within India. So increasing funding for research will help, but we also need to increase the students pursuing research in India, which is currently lagging behind China and US as well as smaller nations also. And this is according to the All India Survey of Higher Education. However, there are also certain concerns mentioned in the NEP. One of the main concerns with the policy is its sidestepping of the implementation of the policy with vague recommendations for parallel non-state structures to implement it. Also, there are internal contradictions that exist in the document, foremost among them the strict norms and standards for teacher education, which appear alongside relaxation of norms for schools. Also, homeschooling is being encouraged as a result, while teachers are supposed to be trained in a highly standardized manner. Also, the policy is looking to encourage foreign universities to set up branches in India. There are concerns over which universities would set up in India, which Indian institutes they would wish to partner with. Also, there is a concern that foreign universities could poach teachers from local universities due to offering better salaries and benefits, leading to a shortage of staff in the public sector, thereby harming goals within the policy. So there is no clear definition of what is meant by Indian in this context, and the policy says that the policy will have a India-centered education system, and this might challenge the plural society or the cultural diversity of India. So these concerns should be genuinely addressed by government, and if these concerns are addressed, then the author is of the opinion that the policy will surely be a success in changing the direction of India's educational structure. So with this, students, we come to today's Assam Tribune discussion. I hope this discussion was very helpful. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you.